fellow travel warriors. I'm Steve.
And I'm George.
Join us as we unpack the challenges, excitement, preparation,
and passion for travel.
How are you today, George? I think that you're not in Oklahoma. From what I understand, you are in New Orleans.
I am. So I just took a weekend trip to New Orleans to visit our friends, Howard and Debbie.
Fantastic.
And they say hello, by the way. And so the main part of the trip down here was to see the Celtics and the Pelicans play on Saturday. So
that's exciting.
We're both sports fans, and we'll talk about that, what teams we root for. But I'm a huge Celtics fan, and it just happened to be that the Celtics and the Pelicans are playing this weekend. A few weeks ago, I called Howard and said, hey, can you get tickets? And so we got tickets and came down here, arrived late on Friday evening. So from there, we got up pretty early yesterday morning. Some exciting news for Howard. Him and some partners, they bought a temporary fencing rental company. So when he first told me this, I didn't quite understand. And then he kind of explained that in New Orleans, there's a lot of projects going on. There could be renovations on an old house. There's a lot of movies shot down here in New Orleans. So these companies, let's say a movie company comes in and they want to block off a street, they'll call a temporary fencing rental company to deliver fencing, metal fence to block off streets. And here in New Orleans, there's also festivals and parades and stuff every weekend around. There's always something. And Howard's neighbor is who he bought the company from. And when he found out how lucrative that business is, and he was sort of like a one or a two man show, he got in there and convinced him to sell, and he bought it. So they closed it on Friday, which was exciting, and they start hitting the ground Monday morning. And so they bought a new truck for the company. They have offices, so we went by there yesterday morning to see the offices, which was exciting to see. On their truck, it had their company logo on there, and we took a ride around, and it was neat. It was neat. I'm proud of him to do that. And we've known Howard. Howard worked for you. And in our first couple of episodes, it was Howard that was working with you in Palm Desert in 2003. I had just met Howard in Jacksonville in August. He was working for you in October.
Yes. And
through him telling me that he was working with you on Palm Desert, got to meet you, right? And so we've all been friends for a very long time. He does have a picture up here. So he had built where I'm at. He built an office, a little house in his backyard. I did take some pictures. I will put those in the description below, some links. So he has a really nice with a lot of New Orleans stuff around here. And he has a picture of you from a trip that you and Brian Bordas and Terry, when we stayed at Terry's house, I think it was like 2004 around Mother's Day, and you guys went across the border in Tijuana. And it was, I think you had your mouth, Brian was this.
Oh, God.
And Terry, foreshadowing his eye issues, he had his eye covered. So if you remember in 2012, Terry had eye surgery. So,
oh, my God.
So I'll take a picture of that. So talking to Howard, he was like, tell Steve I got that picture. Right here in his backyard, beautiful backyard, lots of noise. I can hear a train going. We're right by the airport. There may be a plane coming across that you'll hear in the background. But I thought it'd be a perfect place to kind of set up shop on my end here. So that's so he wanted me to tell you, say hi in that picture there. So I'll take a picture of that. Some good memories.
I would
from
love
about
to
20
see
years
it.
ago. Yeah,
I would love to see it.
I want to say it was around Mother's Day 2004.
Wow.
So
time flies.
So after we got done with showing me the business, the offices and stuff like that, we came back to the house, changed, and then we went to towards the French Quarter. And a place that we've eaten in Metairie a lot is called Drago's, and they're really famous for their charbroiled oysters. Delicious. If you love oysters on the half shell, fried oysters, they sort of invented the charbroiled oysters. So they have a location down at all places, Steve. The Hilton New Orleans Riverside. They have one inside there. I didn't realize it. So we went down there. We took an Uber, got dropped off, and we met two of his friends down there. So it was the four of us eating, and it's so delicious. Again, I have a few pictures. I can put in the description. So we ate. Lunch was fantastic. Stuffed myself, of course, and all of them there. They know I'm from Oklahoma, and they're used to all the food, so they eat very little, and then they leave me. They'll eat out of the dozen. They'll eat 2 or 3, and then I have the other 9 or 10. So I'm very grateful for that. And then from there, we walked. I forget how many blocks it is, 10 blocks to walk over to Smoothie King Arena where the Pelicans play, the Celtics. It was a 4 p.m. tip-off. So we kind of just took our time, walked over there, got into the arena. We arrived about 30 minutes before kickoff. I'll tell you a funny story. So one of the two that ate lunch with us, he buys and sells companies, and he has season floor tickets to the Pelicans. So he had already sold his 2 floor tickets. His tickets were right behind the visitors bench. But when he found out that Howard and I was going, he called one of his other buddies who also has 4 tickets and bought his buddy's 4 tickets. I don't know how much, $1,000, $2,000 for yeah. So our tickets are second level, pretty good seats, kind of baseline. We're looking straight at the goal, and we can see them they were on the opposite side of the court, all the way at the end on the floor, sort of behind the basket in the far corner. So really our view was probably a little bit better of the court. So, but they were on the floor. So that was neat. It was really neat getting to talk to them. The game was good. The Celtics won. They had broken a 2-game losing streak. It was a really good game. The Celtics kind of pulled away in the third period and then kind of held on at the end for a 12-point victory. So it was exciting. It was my second game there in New Orleans this year, or this season. I was there with Howard in a game in December. And then from there, Steve, after the game, Debbie, his wife, came and picked us up, and we went back to Kenner, did sort of some food shopping. They're preparing right now in their backyard. They're having a cookout for Easter. And we got some food. And then after that, for dinner, usually when I come in to New Orleans, they've been really good. They know how much I love seafood. And if myself or Zoraida and I come into town, they'll pick us up. They live in Kenner, which is right by the airport. And we'll go to a couple of places. We'll go either to Kenner Seafood or the Harbor Seafood Oyster Bar, which is both close by. And so since I got in too late on Friday, this is where we went. So we went to the Harbor Seafood last night, loaded up again on oysters on the half shell, seafood gumbo, a po' boy sandwich, all the things I love that you don't get really in Tulsa. And so I really enjoy that. So they always sort of pamper me. And so it was a great day yesterday. It was a fantastic day. Again, just to kind of recap, for them to purchase a new business, for them, how exciting to get to eat at 2 wonderful places in New Orleans and then to see a basketball game. So that's part of being travel warriors, right? It's not only for work, but for pleasure too. And that's what we're about.
It was so nice to see Howard and Debbie. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago when we had a meetup in Las Vegas, and we went to the Bacchanal buffet at the Caesar's Palace, and it was so great to see them. But even more motivating to hear is that as we've been in the workforce and worked our careers and doing all these things, how it's never too late to keep evolving and keep finding new opportunities and new challenges. And so, Howard and Debbie are an example of that with the experience. Then he got into some other business ventures related around insurance and retirement planning with teachers, and successful at that. And now evolving now to a business owner, and I'm sure he'll be successful at that. So just just excitement for them. Happy to hear all this is going on, because it's just a reminder to all of us as we're getting up there in age that you have to live a purposeful life and continue to give yourself goals in your life, so that it keeps that motivation, gives us a reason to get up and grind a little bit, maybe not as much, but and that enables us to be able to continue traveling. Now, I do remember the conversation, a short one that I had with Howard, where he was recommending you and said all these great things, and it was influential, of course, because of what I thought of Howard. And I thought, I'm sure if Howard's saying this guy's good, and then I want to definitely meet him and interview him. So kudos to Howard, because, in life, there are certain people that don't have a significant amount of time, or they don't really live inside your circle. But oftentimes that person is there to point you in the right direction, or to be a conduit to have you meet someone else, and look what happens. So I think that there is some interconnectivity that we all have in our journey, and that creates the synchronicity for other opportunities, and more importantly, to meet other people that will have an impact in our life. I think you weren't in the military. I was, but some of the things that we had to overcome together in our old career is I think the bonding that forms, because you had to overcome so much over such a long time, But again, so happy to hear. I want to see that picture, and we're going to have to, now that you let the cat out of the bag, you mentioned Terry's name. And so I'm going to have to send him this video, or you'll send it to him. And I think he'll be humored by it. One other thing. So my connection to New Orleans, I did a couple of recruiting trips in New Orleans. I know that of the two times that I went there, I stayed at one time was the Westin on Canal Street. That was a pretty good stay, big, massive hotel, and had a good stay there. And then the last time I was in New Orleans for a recruitment trip was actually, I stayed at a hotel across the street from the Harrah's Casino. And it was a French sounding name. Forgive me, I can't recall the name of it, but they are a franchise hotel, kind of a French boutique style, and really enjoyed staying there as well. And what can you say about New Orleans? The food, the fun times. It seems to be a magnet for that. And hopefully now, since the pandemic, what's the downtown like? Is it? I mean, the last time I was there, it kind of looked gritty and grimy, to be honest with you. Has it kind of been cleaned up? Does it look like it's come back to life?
Yeah, it is, or it has. I think so. A bunch of new hotels. People come here. If it's the Super thing next year, the Super Bowl is coming, right? The Super Bowl is coming to Phoenix this year, is it right? Or no, this past year the Super Bowl is in Phoenix, or when is the Super Bowl? I know next year I think it's in New Orleans. I was trying to remember how recent the Super Bowl came to Phoenix, but Howard was saying the Super Bowl is coming next year in New Orleans, and then the week after Mardi Gras starts. So it's going to be crazy down here next year. Just trying to remember, walking from where the Hilton was to the arena, nothing looked out of ordinary. So I know they have the World War II Museum here downtown, which is really, really nice. I've not been to it. It's on my list to go next time I come down for an extended time to visit that. So that's going to be on the list.
Let me refer to our audience a couple of relatively recent shows I watched that I thought were really outstanding. And one of them actually is set and filmed in New Orleans. It's called Your Honor. And it has the main actor and creator of Breaking Bad. He is a judge in the city of New Orleans, and his son gets embroiled in something, and I won't give it away. But that was a series that has 2 seasons, I believe, and it was on the Showtime network. And it really, you want to get the flavor of New Orleans, the French Quarter, the food, the ambiance, the energy of New Orleans. That series really captures it. Secondly, there was a show that I watched on HBO called 5 Days, and it was about the aftermath of Katrina and all the displaced people, but mainly the people that were in this big hospital, and how the power was going out, and they had shortage with a lot of medications and supplies. And it's a very well acted series or movie, and so that's on HBO, called 5 Days. And so those two, maybe we could at least have a couple of links that we could refer our audience to if they really want to get that feel of the kind of the New Orleans.
One of the things, Stevie, I am excited about. So from here, I'm going to fly back home. And then this week, I have a big trip coming up. Can't wait to share that. I will be going to Florida, to Miami on Wednesday, and then to watch a baseball game. So our next episode will be from Miami. And then from there, I'll be visiting Brazil. So can't wait to talk about that. That's what's coming up on the horizon for our channel, and excited to share the trip with everybody.
I am so excited for you and jealous that you're headed to Brazil, a place that I've been wanting to go for a long time, and the birth of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a very famous mixed martial arts family who founded Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the Gracie family. These were really the founders of the Ultimate Fighting Championship mixed martial arts, league. And it's got to be so amazing, an opportunity to go to Brazil. And hopefully I'll give you a couple things to make sure that you bring me back from Brazil that I would love to have. So I'm really excited to hear about where in Brazil you're going, and what are some of the 2 or 3 things that you plan to mark off your checklist in going to Brazil. And wow, I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. It's been on the radar for a long time. So it's I can always say the day comes. So the day's coming this week. So.
Well, I've got this will be an April trip, right, George? This
Yes.
is an April trip, and
Yes.
then it'll be my turn, and then I'll be going. And I don't want to announce it now, but maybe on the next episode or 2, I'll be announcing a couple spots that I'm going to be traveling to in May. So we have to continue being travel warriors one way or the other, even on our own. Of course, not in corporate travel warriors, but certainly the passion, the preparation, the challenges, they're still there. But it is so great to start knowing when you have a trip, especially a place like Brazil, the excitement and all the research that you've got to do. And I'm sure you'll kind of clue us in on some of the challenges that you've had putting this trip together. And it'll be something that we can share and give some people some pro tips on preparing to go to Brazil.
Absolutely.
Well, George, is there anything else that you want to share with us on, live on location from New Orleans?
Well, I'm going to have to change my flight. I found out my flight back to Tulsa basically is going to be super delayed. I won't even get into Tulsa tonight, so I'm going to try to switch my flight to get in earlier. So I actually, as we wrap this up, have to head to the airport.
Wow. Well, you better, you heard me on that Mexico City episode wrap up. You got to get to the airport early. You never know, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us and join our ever growing community of travel warriors. This is a wrap up. Any last words, George?
No, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for our latest episodes. Until next time, safe travels.